Imagine you are 4,000 meters below the surface. The pressure here is intense enough to crush a heavy steel tank like a thin soda can. In the eternal silence of the abyss, something shifted. A sound so powerful it defied the laws of biology and shook the very foundation of science. It was not a whale, not a submarine, and certainly not a volcanic eruption. It was a rhythmic, organic pulse that traveled across 5,000 kilometers. Welcome to the greatest mystery of the deep, the bloop. Is it a natural phenomenon, or the breath of something ancient waking up from its slumber? For decades, this sound has haunted the dreams of oceanographers. Today, we dive into the darkness to find out what truly made that terrifying noise. In the summer of 1997, a network of underwater microphones captured a sound so loud it could be heard across the largest ocean on the planet. The sensors were thousands of miles apart, yet they all registered the same massive energy signature simultaneously, leaving the military and scientists completely baffled. At first, they thought it was a secret weapon or a massive underwater landslide, but the frequency was unique, rising in pitch like a biological call. The sound lasted for about 1 minute. In that short time, it changed everything we thought we knew about the inhabitants of the deep ocean floor. Imagine a creature so large that its heartbeat could be felt by sensors across an entire hemisphere. This is the scale of the bloop mystery. Scientists analyzed the spectrum and realized it had the characteristics of a living being, but on a scale that shouldn't be physically possible for life. What kind of lungs could push that much air? What kind of throat could produce a frequency that travels through the density of the deep sea? The deeper we go, the more the silence weighs on us. But in 1997, that silence was shattered by a sound that shook the world's oceans. The media went wild. Speculation ranged from hidden civilizations to prehistoric monsters that had survived the extinction of the dinosaurs in the deep trenches. But before we look at the answers, we must understand the scale of the suspect. Let's compare the bloop to the kings of the sea. Consider the blue whale, the largest animal known to have ever lived. It grows to 30 meters and weighs nearly 200 tons of muscle. To produce the bloop sound biologically, a creature would have to be significantly larger than any blue whale that has ever graced our planet's oceans. We are talking about a biological titan, a beast so gargantuan that a blue whale would look like a small fish swimming in its wake. The sheer physics of such a creature are mind-boggling. How would it eat? How would it move without being seen by our modern satellite technology? Researchers at NOAA were left scratching their heads. They knew the biology of whales, and this sound simply did not fit any known species' throat. It was as if the ocean itself was breathing. The frequency was too low, too loud, and too consistent to be a random biological fluke. Could it be a prehistoric relic? Perhaps a megalodon that grew to impossible proportions in the high-pressure environment of the deep-sea trenches? The atmosphere at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration was tense. They were sitting on data that could rewrite the history of biology. Every time they ran the simulations, the result was the same. The source was organic. Something alive had made that sound, and it was huge. Is it a kraken? A giant squid version on steroids? Or something entirely new that has never been documented by human eyes in our history? If such a creature exists, its teeth would be the size of doors, and its hunger would be enough to deplete entire ecosystems in days. Imagine looking into an eye that has seen the birth of islands and the passing of ages, staring back at you from the blackness. The ocean is the last true frontier. We know more about the surface of the moon than we do about the bottom of our seas. Could the bloop be a warning? A sound made by a territorial guardian of the abyss that doesn't want to be found by humanity? Listen closely to the slowed-down recording. It sounds like a growl, a deep, guttural vibration that resonates within your very bones and soul. Nature usually has limits. But in the deep, where the rules of physics change under crushing pressure, those limits might not apply to everyone. The scientific community was divided. Some wanted to believe in the monster, while others searched for a more rational, albeit still terrifying, explanation. What if it wasn't one creature? What if it was a collective sound of something we can't even begin to imagine or describe properly? To understand how we caught the bloop, we have to look at the secret network of ears the military built during the Cold War. This is the SOSUS network, a top-secret array of hydrophones designed by the US Navy to track Soviet nuclear submarines during the height of tension. These microphones are incredibly sensitive. They can hear a submarine's propeller from hundreds of miles away, cutting through the background noise of the sea. When the bloop occurred, it wasn't just one station that heard it. The sound was so loud that multiple sensors across the Pacific triggered simultaneously. The Navy operators knew every sound in the book: ships, whales, even ice. But this sound made them freeze in their tracks, in disbelief. The coordinates pointed to a very specific, very lonely place: Point Nemo, the spot on Earth that is furthest away from any landmass. If you were at Point Nemo, your closest neighbors wouldn't be on land. They would be the astronauts on the International Space Station flying overhead. It is a graveyard for falling satellites and space debris, a place so remote that it seems like the perfect hiding spot for a monster. In this desolate region, the ocean floor is miles deep, and the silence is absolute. Until that day, in 1997, when the silence shattered. The fact that military-grade sensors were the ones to catch it added a layer of credibility that scientists simply could not ignore or dismiss. The location was weird, the sound was weird, and the timing was weird. But the weirdest part was yet to be discovered by researchers. To find the next clue, we have to look into the world of fiction, specifically the cosmic horror writings of the legendary H.P. Lovecraft. In 1928, Lovecraft wrote The Call of Cthulhu. He described an ancient, godlike monster imprisoned in a sunken city deep under the Pacific Ocean. He called this city Relic, a place of nightmares where Cthulhu lies dreaming, waiting for the stars to be right so he can wake up. The chilling part? The coordinates Lovecraft gave for Relic in his 1928 story are almost identical to where the bloop was recorded in 1997. How could a writer in the 20s, decades before sonar technology existed, pick the exact spot where a massive, unknown sound would emerge? Some say he was a visionary. Others believe he actually heard the call of something ancient in his dreams, a psychic echo from the abyss. The bloop was recorded very close to the fictional home of Cthulhu. Was the sound actually the giant monster turning in its ancient sleep? The coincidence was too much for many people to handle. The internet exploded with theories that the great old one was finally waking up. But while the world was dreaming of monsters, the scientists at NOAA were working on a much colder, more physical explanation for the sound. Years of research led them south, away from the monsters and toward the massive ice sheets that cover the bottom of our world. They discovered a phenomenon called ice quakes. When massive glaciers crack and fall into the sea, they release an incredible amount of acoustic energy. The sound of a giant iceberg snapping is like a gunshot amplified 1,000,000 times, traveling through the water for thousands of miles easily. In 2005, NOAA officially announced their findings. The spectrogram of the Bloop matched the signature of a large iceberg calving and scraping the seafloor. The monster was gone, replaced by a piece of ice. The mystery was solved, or so the scientific community wanted everyone to believe. But many people weren't satisfied with this boring explanation. They felt that ice was just a convenient way to hide something far more disturbing. Does ice really explain everything? Why was the Bloop so much louder and more distinct than any other icequake recorded before or after? The ocean is full of strange sounds that have been given names but never truly explained. The Bloop is just the most famous among them. Even if the Bloop was ice, it doesn't change the fact that we have only explored less than 5% of our planet's oceans. Every year, we discover species that look like they belong on another planet. Giant squids were once considered a myth until they were finally caught. What else is hiding down there? What other titans are moving in the shadows, far beneath the reach of our current sonar and cameras? The ocean doesn't give up its secrets easily. It is a vast, dark world that covers most of our planet, yet remains a complete mystery. Do you believe the official explanation? Was it just a piece of ice cracking under pressure? Or was it the sound of a living god? Think about it. The coincidence of the coordinates, the biological signature of the sound, and the sheer scale of the energy released that day. The Bloop may have gone silent, but the ocean is still listening. And somewhere, in the deepest trenches, something might be listening back to us. If you want to dive deeper into the mysteries of our world, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for more chilling stories. The truth is out there, somewhere in the darkness. Stay curious, stay alert, and as always, thanks for watching. Peace out, guys. Until next time, keep your eyes on the horizon and your ears to the ground. The next big discovery could be just one sound away. Wait, did you hear that? Or was it just the wind? Sleep tight, and remember, the ocean is never truly empty. Let's look closer at the ice theory. Antarctica is a land of moving, groaning ice sheets that contain more power than any human explosion. As the planet warms, these massive structures experience internal pressure that builds up over decades before finally snapping with a violent force. When a glacier calves, it doesn't just fall, it creates a seismic event that resonates through the entire water column of the ocean. Water is an incredible conductor of sound. Low frequencies from the Antarctic can travel all the way to the equator without losing much energy. The NOAA scientists spent years deploying more sensors to catch these icequakes in action, hoping to prove their theory once and for all. They found thousands of them. Some were small, but others were massive, matching the unique Bloop sound profile that had stumped them for years. The patterns were too similar to ignore. The rising frequency, the duration, and the volume all pointed toward a geological, not biological, source. By the early 2010s, the scientific community had largely moved on. To them, the Bloop was a solved case, a curiosity of nature. But the timing remains the most suspicious part. Why did the loudest sound ever recorded happen exactly where a legendary monster was supposed to be? History is full of scientific explanations that were later proven wrong. We once thought giant squids were just sailors' hallucinations and ghost stories. New analysis suggests that while ice is a factor, there are elements of the Bloop sound that don't perfectly align with typical icequakes. There is a rhythmic quality to the sound, a cadence that suggests intent or biology, rather than a random, chaotic breaking of ice blocks. The universe is vast, but our own oceans are just as alien and unexplored as the stars that hang above our heads at night. Every time we send a probe down to the deepest parts of the ocean, we find things that science said shouldn't even be able to exist. There are regions of the seafloor that have never felt a ray of sunlight in millions of years. Who knows what has evolved there? The fossil record shows us that giant predators were common in the past. Is it so hard to believe that one might still survive? Nature finds a way to survive in the most extreme conditions. The high pressure and cold of the deep ocean might be a sanctuary. If the bloop was a call, who was it for? Was it a mating cry, a warning, or a signal to others of its kind? Our ancestors told stories of these beasts for a reason. They weren't just legends. They were warnings passed down through the generations of humanity. Even today, Navy pilots and sailors report seeing things that defy logic. Huge shapes moving under the waves that shouldn't be there at all. The mystery of the bloop isn't just about a sound. It's about the realization that we are not the masters of this planet's depths. We can label it ice and put it in a folder, but the feeling of being watched by the abyss will never truly go away. The surface of the ocean is a mask. Beneath it lies a world of total darkness, extreme pressure, and secrets that date back millions of years. We have mapped the surface of Mars in better detail than we have mapped the floor of our own Pacific Ocean's deepest, darkest trenches. Every year, deep-sea expeditions return with footage of creatures that look like they were pulled straight from a science fiction movie or nightmare. There are reports of unidentified submerged objects, or USOs, that move at speeds no human technology can currently match under the heavy water. What if the things we think are mountains or reefs are actually the dormant bodies of titans waiting for the world to change again? The bloop was the loudest, but it was far from the only mysterious sound. The ocean is constantly whispering to those who are listening carefully. Some people spend their entire lives trying to hear the bloop again. They believe it wasn't a one-time event, but a part of a cycle. The power of the ocean is humbling. It can destroy our greatest cities and hide our greatest nightmares without leaving a single trace behind. What kind of animal has the strength to leave a mark like that? What kind of creature was the bloop really? We may never know. The mystery remains because we want it to. We need to know that there is still something larger than us out there in the world. From the depths of 1997 to the theories of today, the bloop continues to capture our imagination and remind us of our own smallness. So, what do you think? Was it a cold piece of ice or a warm-blooded monster from the dawn of time? The choice is yours. If you enjoyed this journey into the abyss, make sure to give this video a like. It helps us keep exploring these dark, hidden corners. We have so many more mysteries to cover. From the Bermuda Triangle to the secrets of the Mariana Trench, the journey is just beginning. Thank you for being part of this community. Your theories and comments are what keep these mysteries alive and breathing in the digital age. The world is full of things we can't explain. And maybe, just maybe, some things are better left unsolved in the dark, cold depths. The abyss is calling. Will you answer? Or will you stay on the shore where it is safe? The choice, as always, is yours. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we go even deeper. Don't go anywhere. The best is yet to come in this mystery series. Peace out, stay curious, and remember, never stop looking into the darkness. You might just find what you are looking for down there.